Hi, everyone.
So we're really good to go. I know we're a little bit past our time. I promise that this would not take longer than an hour, so I'm going to kick off immediately because some people are occupied in other situations, I've been told ahead. And I'm really excited to do this. I can't believe that we're actually all together in this space and that we can do this workshop together. Just to give you a little bit of background, this is what COVID did to me. It played a lot with my head, as I'm sure it's played a lot with all of yours. And whilst I have been, I've never been at a loss of what to do with my time. And as soon as I came back from Bali, which was the 16th of March, I ended up in an apartment by myself, 15 days of being totally, in isolation. And this is the time where I had a lot of time to think about my life and what I wanted to do with it, and what I would see myself doing in the future that would be beneficial for me, for my time management, and to still make me grow and make me feel whole as a person. Obviously, I am at a point in time in my life where I can reflect a lot back, because I have obviously quite a few years of having done a lot and having been spinning and chasing my tail so much that I have been moving this dust cloud around me and that I couldn't project and see into the future. And because of this time, the dust actually settled and I could myself what I think I would want to do into the future. So this is the whole point of this exercise and why I would like to do this exercise, together, because it is what will help us reflect a little bit on the life we are living and on the life we would like to live and whether it makes sense. Obviously, I have no doubt that all of you have had their, in some case a little bit. Whoever at this point doesn't have his mic muted, it's better to mute it. I might mute you, sorry, for a while so that we don't hear stuff moving around. So anyway, basically, this is the point of what started this. I personally took a coach to help me understand where it is I wanted to project. But obviously, I have something like 35 years of experience being in business. And the way I started in business is quite interesting because, and this is where I am going to introduce myself. 35 years ago, I was totally penniless. I was totally clueless. And I did what everything and everyone else did in life. I basically went to school, got an education, went to university, then projected my university and went and started working at the bank. But it was my father who was prompting me to do this because he was working at a bank, and his aspirations for me were that is what he would project for me, but they were not my choice. It was never my choice. My choice would have been to do something completely different. I was always too excited with life. And so I did go, and do all this and had a career, had a finance, degree, and I did banking, but I was really absolutely never happy with what I was doing. It just did not give me the momentum, the excitement that I was looking for. And at some point in time, I think I was around 24, I had this moment of truth. It was, the one day that basically shakes your beliefs, shakes everything. And it was a very weird time. And it was basically, I literally got, suspended from working because I dared to, we're looking at 35 years ago, voice an opinion with enough strength to say, no, I disagree. And when I got to the point of facing my chairman, who had decided basically that I would be the person to, move forward without consulting me on how I wanted, to see my future evolve, I had the audacity to say no. And at the time, there were no arbitrations about this. I basically got a nice thank you very much letter after 8 years of work. We think you're undisciplined, and basically please write in your resignation. So that is that changed my life. And I did leave my career, and I did leave the bank, and I did make this massive shift of suddenly being totally alone, totally helpless, totally penniless. Practically, I had, a mortgage on my apartment, mortgage on my car, and I made this massive shift on starting from penniless into growing in practically 2-3 years, a business which is now a multi-million business. So what was it that took this shift? And this is the project that I would like, to basically have and share with you. And this is that I was prepared to make a bet on myself. And whether or not in life you want to succeed, you are always your best bet. And there is no one else who is a bet. I'm sure that you have all been in relationships that were either supportive or were abusive or were good or were bad or they were in between. And you might have thought that even your partner would, get you out of a fix. But if you're really honest with yourself, I'm sure that you will have gotten at a point where you realized that you are the only person who can bet on himself. Do we agree here or not? Please text and write. I'm watching the text. I'm pretty new to Zoom, and I'm pretty nervous doing this for the first time as well. But I'm sure that you all share this feeling that we can only really basically, bottom line, stand on our own 2 feet. But I want to start this now on a real positive way. And I would like to ask a question, because this is how we fast track what we want to do. Imagine if you ran into a version of yourself 10 years ago, if you met yourself 10 years younger, and you would give yourself some advice. And what advice would you give yourself? I'm sure you would give yourself a lot of advice, like, don't go down that road, don't do business with this person, believe in yourself, don't over stress over problems that you can't solve, stress over problems that you can solve, because life has a way of resolving its own problems. It doesn't always happen like that, but sometimes we've just been through some unprecedented times, and more than anything else, we are living in some degree of fear that we will need to have to go through this. So one of the most important things that we have to always keep in mind, and this is one of the soft skills in business, is adaptability and being able to adapt to situations. But let's imagine we were in a situation where we were meeting ourselves 10 years ago, and just imagine this and make a note of what you would tell yourself, because the advice that you would give yourself 10 years down the line is the fast track that you can have when you actually sit down in a community like this and listen to people who have actually been there, done that, made the mistakes, too many mistakes actually, and we basically take it from there. So let me see how I can navigate this silly thing to take it into the future. Okay. So what are the takeaways I'm hoping to take from this? And I hope I'll go a bit faster because I am talking too much. So basically it is that the best bet we can make in life is ourselves. The second takeaway is that we have to guard the doors of our mind and what we feed it. I was actually falling into this silly and massive rut, and I'm sure we all go through this, of, you know, losing myself in social media, and 3-4 hours down the line, I have done nothing important with my time. I would, diffuse in reading silly stuff that doesn't ever contribute into what's coming to our mind, into my mind. And what comes inside our mind is pretty much the same thing as what comes, you know, by way of food into our body. It's, you know, we feed our brain very much in the same way that we feed our body. And even if you lose patience, like one of the things that happened to me during COVID is I was still, after the time I was in quarantine, I could go out and walk. And this is the first time that I felt validated, because I would go out and have my morning exercise, but I would have a pair of earphones, and I discovered Audible, a little bit late in the day, but I would be doing two things that were both, actively working in what I was letting inside my mind and what I was doing with my body. And I didn't feel like I was wasting time. And I felt that I was energized doing this. And it was amazing how this totally changed the perception of, what I was doing. The other takeaway is acquiring a growing belief that you can achieve whatever it is that you dream. And this is a saying by Henry Ford. And basically it is that if you believe it, it will happen. And if you believe it won't happen, it won't happen. There is really, nothing that can not happen by the force of our mind. And unless you really, really, truly believe, and we will talk a little bit about this further on, unless we truly believe that we can achieve that what we project, it won't happen. It will be just like New Year's resolutions. New Year's resolutions, usually, we make the list, we're all enthusiastic about, how we're going to project the year. But because we don't anchor them with enough emotion, with something that we really want and need, they get lost within the week or just within a few days. And the final takeaway will be, how are we going to learn to set goals? And I find that this is probably the hardest, because we have aspirations, but they're, always a little bit in a cloud. They're always a little bit wishy-washy, and they would, we would not really laser focus on what we want. And unless we laser focus on what we want, this will not happen. So learning how to set goals is really quite an important, thing that we have to do. I don't know why I keep pushing this back instead of forward. So the story, I already told you how I went from unhappy to broke, and unhappy and broke working at my work, to running a business. And if I have to basically put it down and anchor it in one word, it's enthusiasm, determination, and actually having no option but to. I had no option but to do what I had to do, because I was basically, left alone, wandering from having a job to having no job. But next to me, I have my dear friend who has been really inspirational to me, and she has really anchored this together, because we were working through this mastermind that we were doing together, and she has her own story, which is, we're on opposite ends of the polarities, basically. She is 30 years younger than me, I don't know, 35 years. So still starting a career, but still having exactly the same, needs on how to project forward. So you can share your story with us.
Most definitely. So thank you for having me here. And I want to start off by thanking Mariella, because she has walked me through this process unknowingly almost. We just met up. It's as if we were honestly meant to meet up, because I came to a point in my life where, unlike Mariella, I can't say I was completely financially unstable and wasn't maybe a job that I didn't enjoy. But like Mariella, I had this fire inside that I couldn't kind of shut out. So I was in a situation where I worked with my family, someone in my family which I supported, and I had to kind of work with the family because there was a need rather than a want. And I had my law degree and my fancy office and my nice surroundings and my job security. I specialized in a particular area which I could find a job very easily. So I felt like on paper I should be pretty happy. But I still wasn't. And this is when I came to Mariella, and we were chatting, since we've known each other for a while, about random things. But then we both fell on this topic, and I broke down. I said, listen, I want to do my own thing, but it's going to be very difficult because I have to leave family, I have to break ties, which I started, and I was very confused. And through this course and through Mariella's guidance, I managed to find the clarity to actually commit to what I wanted to do. So I left my cushy environment, and now I fast forward a couple of months, I started my own business. I opened my own law firm in a very competitive space, um, in a prominent area in Valletta, so I was really happy about and it's like everything all of a sudden fell into place. But it did not fall into place by chance. It fell into place because, as Mariella said, I latched the emotion with my goal, and with the proper guidance, got across the finish line.
Okay, amazing. Let's move forward into our next slide. I'm leaving you to do this job because I'm obviously so this is the exercise we're going to do together. Let's get some action going, because we're just been trying to anchor you in our mindset. And basically the exercise we're going to do is where I am, where I would like to go, very important, why I want to go there. And next is the practical one. How on earth am I going to go there? And this is an exercise that we need to do very often in our life, especially when after, this situation that we are, I'm sure, a little bit at a loss. We might be at a loss at any point in time in our life. We could have even found a destination to be very anchored in our life, but at some point stuff could happen. I mean, let's face it, shit happens, and it did, and a lot of it, and it's unbalanced us. It's made us lose our income. It's made us lose our perception. For some people it's been a lot more work. For some people it's been no work, but it's definitely been a time where it has stopped to make us fully reflect. So this exercise is a real powerful tool, and it can really help you to take your life in every aspect of it to the next level. The exercise is, where am I now? And where am I now is basically something that needs to start with a lot of honesty. And I hope you have pen and paper, because this is what you should. And I really didn't give this much attention, but actually journaling and writing stuff down makes it really anchor in and become really important, and really it will really anchor where you are. So where am I today? Am I in a good situation? Am I in a good relationship? Am I working towards this relationship? Am I working towards communication? Am I making the money I actually projected that I need so that I can give my family, you know, valuable contribution, anything that makes you, but you have to really, really be honest about this, about exactly where am I. You have to strip yourself down and say, you know, I could do better with my partner. I could do better with my weight. I could do better with the job I'm doing. I could do so much better with my career. I could do so much better with myself, knowing I have the ability to do it, but I'm not actually actively involved in my own growth. That, you know, can happen, but all change starts with honesty. And this honesty is not what you need to project to anyone, except, you know, it has to be really deeply rooted in your heart and in your soul. Because unless you really recognize honestly where you are, then you cannot project where it is that you want to go into the future. Unless you actually anchor in and say, look, I, as Bev did, I am not happy in the situation that I am. I feel that I am not living my life to its full capacity. I feel that I am carrying a weight. I feel that I am not, you know, giving myself
my full potential.
Yeah, exactly, living my full potential. So being honest with yourself is absolutely very important. Being very interested in you know, scaling yourself. We all, let's face it, we all want to have a better future. We all want to do something that is going to make us feel, you know, more fulfilled, more financially independent. Whatever it is that you need in your life, you are always going to need something that is going to make you feel, you know, really good about yourself. So when you share with yourself exactly what it is that you are the standing point, you are here, you know, together in this for a reason. You might be interested in just knowing what I have to say. You might be interested in self-growth. You might be interested in you know, sharing where you want to go. You might be interested in sharing ideas, because always when you share ideas, people actually you know, shared and combined ideas really give you momentum and perspective on where you want to go in the future. But whatever reason you are here for a reason that is yours and that is valid. Because otherwise, the fact that you actually showed up means that you are committed to yourself in finding something that can really excite you about the possibilities of the future. So we can be in a lot of places. We can be in a painful place. We can be in a very good place, and we want to scale it and do it better. We can have, you know, financial problems, friendship problems, disorientation problems, or we could actually have the other way around, and we're very normal and okay, but we would still like to grow. Because if I know most of you that I am seeing here, I know you all to be people who are motivated and incentivized to grow. So now we have to look at where it is we would like to go. And this usually is really where we get lost. Because if I had to ask you to put comments here and tell me, I know exactly where I want to go, I think it would be possibly the most difficult question I would put. For someone to tell you, I know exactly where it is that I want to go. Most people will tell me exactly where it is that they don't want to go. And when it is that the place that you don't want to go is like getting into a car, putting on your GPS, and the GPS will actually give you a roadmap to all the roads that will get you lost, but not the road that will get you to our destination. Remember, it is always the stuff that we focus on that comes our way. So if we are focusing on the stuff that we don't want in our life, there is a very good chance that we will be attracting exactly that, instead of attracting the stuff that we actually want. So if we focus on that, we will end up attracting more of what we don't want in our life. I want you to think of situations where you would have had an argument with someone, and this would have been really a petty argument, but he or she would have said a word that you would have taken offense to, and you keep it, boiling inside your stomach, and it grows and it grows and it grows, and it becomes so massive in your head. And we as women are very capable of doing this, that we keep growing it into this massive mushroom, and it grows out of proportion. And we actually end up having an argument. This can happen with, your partner, your lover, your husband, your friend, your children, because and actually it would not have been so very significant. And when you burst the bubble and you say, but why did you tell me that? It would end up being absolutely nothing of, unbelievable value. It would have been something small. And this is what we do and how we attract negativity in our life, by focusing on the stuff that we don't want instead of focusing on the stuff that we actually want and the stuff that we want to bring into our life. So I'm going to reverse engineer in case you do not have clarity about exactly where it is that you want to go. And I'm going to put you in a situation where you can try to imagine that there is no COVID, no restrictions, no relationship problems, no health, no weight, everything is perfect. Imagine a situation where everything is perfect in your life. And you project forward and you imagine, and this you need to think about it and write it down, the best year of your life. Imagine the best possible year of your life. How would you imagine it? So when I was putting up those posts, they were for a reason. When I was saying, how would you imagine 2021 to be in a utopian situation, with everything else going your way? Everything going your way. How would you imagine? Where would you be? Would you be, I don't know, moving into a new house? Would you be running your own business? Would you be retired? Everything is valid as long as it is exactly where you really hope and imagine to be. Because this is not an exercise about business. This is an exercise about mindset and the quality of your life. We all want to be successful in business, but more importantly, we want to be successful in the way we feel about ourselves and the fulfillment we get in our life. Everything is a means to an end. We want to be validated. We want to feel important. We want to succeed. We want to make more money. But why do we want to do that? Which brings me to my next exercise, and which is, the clearer you are about your future, the more focus you have on it, that is going to be the fastest route to get you there. But now that we have gotten our positive focus, the positive point of focus, we're going to have to anchor why we need to anchor the emotion with it. And the point is, why do I want this? And this is an exercise which I did with my mentor, which really shook up my foundations totally. This was possibly the most important exercise I did. And basically, they call it the 7 levels deep. I did an American program. Mylene here, I know, lived in America for a very long time. Hello, Mylene. And she understands the American mentality, although she's half Peruvian, half Swiss. And lived in America for a long time. And to be honest, I was rather taken aback with how different the American mentality is to the European mentality. But anyway, this was one exercise which really shook me up, because I could not believe what I ended up coming up with. And basically I was asked, why are you doing this this mentoring course. And I said, I'm doing this mentoring course because I came back. I was with Mylene, actually, the day I left Bali, and ran to Malta and was literally closed up in solitary confinement. And I said, because, I have time on my hands, I want to do something. I don't know how to not do anything. And I think, going into self-growth is really interesting. And then the second question was, why would you like to go into self-growth? And I said, well, self-growth, is important. I'm always, keen to learn, and I'm always keen to know. And the question was, but why are you so keen to know? Because the more I know, the more I have possibilities of, putting business together, and it's exciting. And I actually was honest there, and I said I had a very bad car accident 16 years ago, and they told me I would never walk again. And at the time, I was not financially independent, and I was worrying that the only way I could work was how would I work if I'm sitting at a wheelchair? And the reason that I'm still trying, to do something virtual and online is because I'm always afraid I will never walk again. And that started making me think, oh my God, I can't believe I actually said this. And then after that, he said, so why would you feel you really need to do this? Why would you still want to contribute and work and do something online? I said, because I am afraid of being financially insecure. I am very afraid of being financially insecure. And again, that was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is coming out of my mouth. And I said, so I need to do something that might make me, give me this security, this net, this security. And at the time, my mentor asked, but are you financially insecure at this point? And I said, no, I'm not. I actually don't even need to do this. But the fear of being financially insecure, I want to make sure that I keep all my options open and being able to do something, even if it's virtual, because I'm still afraid that one day I might never walk again. So it's this whole process. Anyway, we kept on asking questions until it got to the point of, why are you so afraid? And why I was so afraid, what it boiled down to was a silly incident of when I was a kid. I come from, yeah, Deborah, that's so true. That comes from Tony Robbins, false emotions appearing real. That is so true. But I come from a very, very humble family. Stephanie, you know me, you know my family and where we come from. My father was a driver, and he worked at the bank. He hoped I would work at the bank and that I would, grow to become, at least a clerk at the bank. And he did 4 or 5 jobs so that he would make sure that I and my sisters would have a good education. So they paid through their nose. There wasn't even enough. Always third week of the month, there wasn't enough money. We would never open the fridge and just take stuff out. We would ask permission because their money was running out until the 25th of the month when they would get paid. And they would just put scrimp enough money so that they would, send us to a private school. Going to a private school meant that you would come across people who are a lot more affluent and who could basically live a better life, which I never could. And I remember one incident where my mother was a very good seamstress, and she had sewn a bikini for me and my sister, which were identical in gingham, yellow and red. I can't remember anyway, the color is exactly yellow and pink, I think. And we went to swim, and one of the girls who was at school with me asked me, where did you buy that swimsuit? And they were all laughing and sniggering. And I said, St. Michael's. And I lied. She put me in a situation of deep shame. And I remember I And they were all making such huge fun of me, because Mariella with St. Michael's swimsuit. And I cried so hard that I went home, and I was ashamed on two levels. I'm ashamed that I lied, and I was ashamed that I could not afford to be where they were. So, and this, I don't know, I had forgotten this incident completely, but this just came out. It came out, on the 7th level. And I said, I never want to be in that position of shame ever again in my life. And I only have myself and my own 2 feet to take me forward and not be that. Now, of course, today with hindsight, I understand that, children are very cruel to each other. Goodness knows, this girl, I can't even remember who she is, got this moment of glory by making fun. It's, a little bit of bullying that everyone goes through. But to me, it anchored the fact that I remember myself saying, I never want to be in this position of shame again. And it has nothing to do with money. It has to do with, being in a situation where I am valid for myself and for who I am. When I realized that this was the most important thing, whatever happened next in my life started making a lot of sense. I was not doing it by plan, but I was doing it by a motivation of, I'm very motivated, I'm very self-propelled, and I'm very excited about what I do. But I never realized that the reason why I was always pushing myself so hard was for this reason. So this is an exercise which is really, really tough to do with yourself. And I think I went through this, I don't know how many times, until I got to the bottom of what it is that I believe. But when you actually anchor in what it is that is so important to you, that whatever it is, that your focal point that is in the future is what you're connected with, then nothing will stop you. Because there will be things that stop you. There will be COVID. There will be your partner telling you, you're a fraud, you're not good enough to do this. Not in my case, that's for sure. I have the most amazing partner who keeps propelling me to go forward and to do more. Those of you who know him know that I'm, saying 100 can vouch for it. But I have been in situations in my past where instead of, having my loving partner saying, oh my God, I can't believe you've arrived at this level. Instead, saying, why do you have to do this? And we will come across all this over and over and over again in our life. And if we are not strong in our belief that we are anchored in where we want to go because we attach an emotion to it, then we cannot go forward. Then it will be like the New Year's resolutions. It will be just, another GPS leading us into no direction. What we anchor in our soul, what we feel and attach an emotion to, and we know that we are doing it clearly because we want to move from where we are to where we hypothetically want to go, it doesn't remain the hypothetically. It's like when you buy, I don't know, I am always very keen on buying houses which are totally broken down. And then I set my focus on how I'm going to restore them. And it is a process which I love doing. I've become an expert doing that. I've done that for the past 30 years of my life. But there is a project on how I become, which is the next slide, the tactical bridge of where I am, where I want to go, and how on earth I'm going to do it. And this is usually where a lot of people, even if you actually anchored the emotion, you've set your focus point, you still have no idea on how to get from where you are to where you want to go. So this is where now we are going to start breaking it down and, shrinking it into the tactical bridge of how we're going to get to where we want to go. And this is going to, again, involve a lot of questions. What is it that I need that is going to take me where I want to go? Do I need, financial assistance? Do I need more education? Do I need to get a mentor? Do I need to find a partner to help me, arrive where I want to go? These are all the questions that you need to be asking, because I don't know where you want to go, but for sure there is a road, and you have to start doing the roadmap. Now, the roadmap can look absolutely overwhelming. And this is where, again, fear kicks in. And as Deborah Webster really put in very well, fear is a false emotion appearing real. And what is a false emotion appearing real? The fear of, being judged, being afraid to ask. A lot of people manage to really move forward in life because they are not afraid of, backlash. They are not afraid of getting criticized. They basically take the bumps. I'm always amazed at this. Even when I was younger, we used to go out as girlfriends. I was always the last one to get a boyfriend every time. I was pretty. Why was that? Because I just did not have, I was always afraid of rejection. Always afraid of rejection. Everything else, I was, cocky and sharp, and I always had the smart answer, but I would have to have someone crawling to my feet, and then I would pick him up and say, okay, you can be my boyfriend. But because I had this, and I would never get quite the person that I wanted, because it was the person who would, give me the 100% assurance that I wouldn't be rejected, that I would end up taking up. And we do this not just in life, but we do it with ourselves, with our relationships, with work, with everything. So breaking down and understanding what it is that we need is literally the tools we are going to need in order to be able to take the overwhelm and make it a little bit more real. So how are we going to do the action plan? What is it that we need to fix, first of all, in our lives so that we can have the needle moving? What are we doing? Why? There are two things which are really our worst enemies. And the first one is procrastination, where we know exactly what we need to do, but we keep, pushing it forward to tomorrow, the week after that. That is possibly one of our worst enemies. And time management is also, the validity of time. I could go on for another hour, and I don't want to digress, but the validity of time, you realize how valid time is when either you have a child born to you, which I never had, and you see the child growing, and you put the perception of time from that moment on, or when someone that you love passes, and you go back into that, and those are two massive measures of our life, because otherwise we seem to go on, in a circle, in a tangent of our 9 to 5. We put a lot of dust around us to the point that we have no visibility, and we are just busy being busy without actually, projecting in this deep desire of what it is that we want to do and shift into what we want to do. And we keep saying, oh yeah, but I don't have the finances, my partner doesn't support me, and this and that. We can have 1,000 excuses of why not. I've been through a bad time, I've been through a bad experience, and we are basically cushioning ourselves into a future where we will just keep on moving on. And again, as I say, one of my mentors always said, imagine yourself, when you're at 90, if God gives you the possibility of living that much, and you're on your rocking chair, and you will just think, oh, I am so grateful that I never took up that challenge and I stayed into my 9 to 5 job. I am so grateful that I didn't take the possibility of, resolving a problem with someone that could have unblocked, problems and made me move forward. Do you think you would be saying that? Or would you be saying, damn, I wish I had another possibility, because I would have said and done things differently. And this is exactly my starting point. What would you tell yourself if you met your younger self 10 years ago? With your experience of 10 years down the line, how much advice would you give yourself? And how much faster would you go into life? So there are some things we might need to change that might take us out of our comfort zone if we really want, to project forward. And this would be, do we need to change, some habits? Do we need to sleep earlier? Not go out and meet friends so consistently, have that one drink less. How are we managing our time? What are we bringing into our mind? And, basically these are the things that first we need, to tick off and embrace into ourselves and say, I need to do this, this, and this if I am really committed. This is like when you start a diet. There is no point in projecting and saying, I'm going to start a diet because I need to lose 10 kilos, something I keep saying to myself all the time. If I'm going to not entertain consistently as I do, and I love cooking and I love eating what I cook. So I need to shift, to shift. Otherwise, I'm not really committed. If you're really committed about what it is you want to do, you have to start making, some changes in your habits and in the way you think. And this is not just about weight. It's about communication. It's about, making a proper game plan. Tell me. It's discipline. Discipline is in everything. And I always say, the only thing I got from a formal education in my life is not what I actually gained in terms of knowledge, but it was in terms of what, I had to show up. And this is actually the last sentence of what I wrote, but it popped up before. Showing up means that you're committed. So discipline is quite important. If and when you do not have a very clear and good idea of where you're going, this is when you need, to get help. And sometimes getting help is not necessarily, helping yourself. You might need to find someone else to literally solve your problem. We cannot solve all our problems ourselves. Sometimes we need to get advice. Sometimes we need to, take on a partner. Sometimes we need to discuss and brainstorm. But whatever it is, you need to literally break it down into what you need. So you have to seek, help in where you need it, and then you start shrinking it down. Like if I am projecting forward for 1 year and I want, for example, with Bev, I'm preparing a mastermind. And the point of the mastermind is to help young professionals gain confidence, crush their careers, and get on top of their game. How am I going to do this? Today is an example of how I am shrinking it down, down to the very day. I know I have to, set out the plan, which I have set out. We sat down, we set it up together. We're about, mindset. We're about gaining mindset, gaining momentum, doing the marketing in the meantime, because everything works together. There is no point, in setting up a mastermind if you can't market it. No one will show up. If you actually have marketing, but you don't have the momentum, or you don't have the quality and the product to sell, then that also doesn't work. So they need to work in tandem. But this is my personal example. So I said, now in the next year, I will launch this. In the next 6 months, I will record this. In the immediate, and this next month, we started our Facebook group. We're almost 1,000. I encourage you to invite other motivated women who want to be in the space, get something out of it. And this is very important. Something might have hit you today, something, you can throw away everything you've heard, but if there is just one single thing that has resonated with what it is that I gave you today, use it and implement it. Throw away all the rest. It doesn't matter. I mean, this is, I told you immediately that, you know, this is basically, I want to share my ideas, to share my space, to share the enthusiasm that I have been. Mylene knows, because this started happening, I think, way back in January. And, you know, I've been building up, and I really built on the momentum, because I believe it has enriched me so much. And basically you start breaking it down into what, you know, it is that you is your focal point for the future. How are you going to enlist help to do it? Who else can do some things for you? Like, I am stupid with marketing. I know I will have to engage someone to do it. I cannot, and I don't have the energy and the time. And you need to always invest in that part of your brain that you know you're good at. I have no problem in being in front of a camera and projecting, but I have a massive problem trying to even navigate PowerPoint. I have to be honest, I managed to do this PowerPoint, and up to 2-3 weeks ago, I had no idea how to use PowerPoint. So yay, cheers to me. I had no idea how to do that. I'm technically and technologically stupidly challenged. But, you know, I really had to go out of my comfort zone and do it. But, you know, this is something I can get someone else to do for me. Because if I'm not going to be good at doing this, someone else is going to have to do it for me. So this is a practical example of, if you can't do something like that, get someone to do it for you. Because if this is defeating, you know, and this is a stumbling block in your road, then unblock it and just move and do it. So I know I'm not good at stuff, and I'm not going to try at this age to try to do things that you know, millennials are doing.
You're investing in what
So,
you're good at.
no, I'm not investing in you for marketing.
No,
I'm
saying you invest in what you're good at is the point.
Exactly. And you have to invest in what you're good at. Break it down to the day. What is it that I am going to do today, absolutely today, that will make me propel into my better future? And as I said, thank you all for showing up. I am totally flattered. This is the first time I've done this. And I mean, I feel so, there's a lot of people here. I'm so flattered. I am going to unmute everyone, because I would really like, you know, to have some, how do I do this? You see how bad I am. I have no idea. I have no idea how to unmute. Okay, now I'm getting a lot of feedback. So I think you can unmute yourself and because I really like to get some discussion going. I have no idea.
You're going to hear a lot of background noise.
Yeah, I know. So we'll unmute one by one. Mylene, I'm so happy to see you here.
I'm so happy to be here. I was very excited about this, and for some reason I've never done Zoom in my entire life, and I couldn't work it out. I thought the whole thing had been canceled, but I managed.
Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad.
It took me like half an hour, by the way.
Yeah, it's, you know, happens
You know.
to the rest of us there. So tell me, did you get any good takes on this?
Absolutely. Oh, I don't know who all else wants to talk, but you know I will always talk. I loved it. And you know what? It's one funny thing for me always is that I feel these things are so important, because at the end of the day, we know this. As we go along our lives, we learn, we develop, we figure this out, but things sort of, you know, we get blocked and we decide to kind of step back again. And these reassurances, these sort of like wake up calls, these sort of reminders brings us back to where we really need to be, and helps us to find that crazy roadmap, helps us kind of navigate it a little better. Because I don't know about everybody else, but for me, it's been a bit of a struggle, because I know this. I've heard this. I've gone through, also done workshops and things, and I always find myself like very motivated, and I move forward, and then, you know, something comes along and this helps. This is like a reminder, like, oh, right, that's the path. Yeah, this is where I need to be. Focus, Maylene, focus. So I thank you for that, because this was very helpful, again, to kind of bring back, you know, things that, you know, we do learn along the line. We do learn while we, you know, go through all this crazy time now. So thank you.
Deborah, we have a world-class motivational speaker with us. And I really appreciate, because I know that what we, you know, what we would get from you would be as valuable as gold. And thank you so much for taking the time to be
here. You're so truly, you've blown me away. The session was awesome. You did so amazing well, and it's funny because I'm very rarely on Facebook, but I saw your post, and I was on a webinar just before as a panelist just before, and it's like
we really wanted to be there.
It's like I really have to join this session. Look, what I've learned in life is our Achilles heel is arrogance. Sometimes we think we have, you know, we get these accolades, we have these accomplishments, and we have this thing of I've achieved, I've accomplished what I set out to do. And then the universe has this amazing way of coming along and giving you a side swipe and saying, yeah, right, think again. So in what you shared, so if I may share like a personal story, 10 years ago, I did this exercise, and then I was living my perfect life. And the partner I was in with proposed in the morning, and just after lunchtime, he dropped dead in front of me. And it was absolutely devastating. And so I can't stress how important every single minute is, and how important time is. And no one said states of gratitude, and always being present. And so being present for this session with you has been such a joy. And you reminded me of so many things are so important, like fear of rejection, and the example you're giving about boyfriends. I was thinking about it the other day. It's like, so all these things, and if we're still alive, it means that we're still learning. And there's no way in hell you will be on a rocking chair when you're 90 years old. You'll probably be like sky jumping or something crazy.
I'm too scared of heights to do that, but I'll probably be doing something.
That's why you'll be doing it. I'll come with you. You're awesome. God bless you. Thank you very much. I wrote down a note. Don't get fixated on the outcome or the path. The person, the path, or the outcome. We can sometimes get fixed on something, and then when something happens, like the side swipe I was referring to, it becomes harder for us to shift and continue living. So yeah, thank you so much for doing this. God bless you. God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you so much for joining. I'm totally flattered. Anyone else would love to share some takes on this? Who else is here? Sarah, I'm so happy to see you.
Hey, Crosset, it was a really good session, as usual, because I've been following what you've done. It's really amazing. I mean, you're trying to put a bit of edge on these, how can I explain it? I mean, there are so many people that you're bringing up and showing their stories, and it's all very motivational.
Yes.
I myself have, as you know, made a change very recently, which was very difficult for me to do. And I was at a point, and I still am actually, where I need to set myself some proper goals and clarity, and I'm really finding it difficult to do so, because it's like I don't know what I want, kind of thing, and this sets me thinking of,
anchors you, because
for me,
as I said, everything starts with a lot of honesty, and we have to really look deep in our heart and understand why and what it is that we actually want to what it is that we want to do, but it's the why that is more important. What is it that actually propels you? In my case, I can't believe that I came up with this story of not ever wanting to be in a situation where, you know, someone else has control over my life. In a you know, it was a silly incident, it was a material thing, but the implications were really huge, and they were really huge for the simple reason that I was thankfully put in a position by my parents of giving me a lot more than they could afford, but I was put in a basket or in an ambience or in a circle of friends that I couldn't, you know, keep up with the Joneses, so to speak. You know, it's a little bit silly, but when you're kids, you get bullied because of that, and of course we couldn't. They were, you know, stretching themselves up to the unbelievable maximum in order to make sure that they give us a good education. And then is when also I realized that there is a difference between, you know, getting the formal education, which is passing on information from teacher to a student, to actually living life, which is a parallel education. And you actually invest in life, and unless you get these bumps, and you know, literally, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And these are all the hits and bumps we have that, you know, and you know, I was always very good at standing back up and dusting off, you know, the hurt and moving forward. But the hurt is always there. And unless you hurt, you don't actually grow. So, you know, this is also a part. And I realized that even if you want to grow your career, you want to grow your business, growing a business, growing your career, growing your whatever, yourself, is all, we are one and the same thing. And it's not like we can separate our career from our life, because the way you grow in every aspect of your life. And you don't just grow by growing your career, and you don't, you know, you're not validated by the person you become because of your success. I'll tell you a quick story, which was not meant to be. I went to Bali 10 years ago, and I lived there for 7 years for a very specific reason, and that was to kill my ego. I was in a situation where I had reached, you know, this is you all know, a lot of you aren't in Malta, but you know, some of you are. This is a melting pot. It's a teacup where a storm brews in 5 minutes, and if you sneeze, everyone knows you've sneezed. And I got to a point where I had, you know, done a lot, but I was starting to become totally dissatisfied with what I was doing. But because I doubt anyone knows my real surname, because my surname was always Mariella Orienta, which is the brand that I made here. And I wanted to break that brand. Not break the brand, I wanted to break myself from the brand, because I was worried that if I left and either decided to close or sell or whatever, and I couldn't really see how I would have succession, that people would say, oh, she's failed. So instead of failing, I actually created a succession and left the country for 7 years, totally. As you know, I stopped doing television. I stopped actively working in my business. I went to retire at the age of 48, I think, in Bali. And instead of retiring, I because it's not in my nature, as Mylene knows, I ended up creating a lot of storms there too, because I ended up buying land and building places, and I was really happy to do it. But in Bali, no one knew who I was. I did not have to carry the burden of living up to what I had done, and that was the reason why I left. And now I don't feel I need to prove anything to anyone, because that is what I had been doing all along. You know, setting myself a new benchmark. I get to the benchmark, I do it, and then once you have that benchmark, it's like you can't scale down. it's okay to scale down because it's your life after all. You do exactly what it is you're trying to focus to do into your future. And it's okay if you don't want to have massive results, if you don't want to become, super, as what you have to become is comfortable in your own skin. And that is what I managed to take in the end. Shall we call it a day, girls? Anyone wants to say, Stephanie, let's unmute her because she's... Have I unmuted you?
Oh, no, let's see.
Yeah, there you are. Okay, you have to introduce yourself because there are some foreign people who don't know who you are.
I'm Stephanie. I produce and present a daily program on our local TV station. I've known Mariella since we were both very young, I must say.
Very young. We're also neighbors other than co.
Yes, exactly. And when I was hearing you talk about your upbringing, it was so familiar. I actually had a dinner appointment and I postponed it because I really wanted to be here. I've been following your posts. You're very inspirational. Obviously, I followed you kind of, how from, like you were saying, because obviously we're saying, Mariella Orienta, she did this and she did. God bless her. It was always something, you were always an inspiration. So I wanted to be here. What I'd like to say is that earlier on you mentioned what would you change in the last 10 years of your life? And although obviously there were some stupid things that I've done, which I think we've all done, I believe that all the heartaches and all the things which kind of slapped me in my face made me grow. And like you said, what doesn't kill you makes me stronger. And if I had to have this conversation with you, 16 years ago, I am not the person I was then. 16 years ago, I separated. I had no money, absolutely nothing. I didn't even have money to buy a Coke. I had a 2-year-old. I had nowhere to live. It was the worst. I became anorexic. I had to be treated for anorexia because I couldn't deal with the situation. 16 years later, I am no way rich, don't get me wrong. I have a house over my head. I don't have a mortgage. I have an 18-year-old now who's happy. And so it was all the shit that basically, and I had loads of it, I can write a book, which made me stronger. So somehow that would be my contribution to this conversation, if you allow me, that when we get, when we get slapped, we just kind of turn the other cheek and say, listen, you think you're going to beat me? No, you're not going to beat me. I will somehow, because there were days when I didn't feel. Discipline, Beverly mentioned it. Time management, I feel that I somehow, maybe if I'm missing out on it, would be the fun factor, because I tend to believe that I have to do more, I need to do more, I have to work more, I have to, which is kind of, it becomes like a bit of a workaholic, I must admit, but it's because I had to. Because when you have a 2-year-old who wants to eat and you don't have money to buy him anything, or, it was Christmas and he wanted a Wocket and I didn't have money to buy him. Father Christmas couldn't get him a Wocket because I didn't have any money at that stage. I had to somehow pull up my socks and somehow make it work. I mean, yes, it was very hard. I was banned from TV because I looked like shit. I had lost, within 3 months, I had lost about 25 kilos. From a size 12, I went to a size 6. My clothes were coming off me. I had bones everywhere.
And she's 6 foot something.
Pardon?
And you're what, 6 foot something?
I'm 6 feet, yes. I had gone down to 50 kilos. I mean, like it was small. And obviously I was stopped. So that was what I was hanging on to, because TV is my life. It's my passion. I love it. I enjoy it. It doesn't make me rich. I wish it would, but it's just because I love it. So I kind of, it's okay, I excuse that factor of not becoming rich because I love it. I do it. I enjoy it. I mean, to do it every day. I've been doing a daily program for 15 consecutive years now. So I can't go abroad. I don't have a day off. I just work, which is fine. I like it.
Steph, if I may interrupt you, I think this is the most valid thing you've said. You do it because you love it. And really, if you don't love what you're doing, no amount of money is money. Money, you can always make more of it, but you cannot make more of time, and you cannot make more of anything that is qualitative in your life. We need money, and it's an ends to a mean, but really and truly, it's what gives you the motivation to wake up and do it again the day after.
I believe that when you're happy in what you do, you have a self-pride. You walk tall. You face life, and even when you have people, like when you have days. I mean, I don't want to keep on because I know that there are people who want to contribute as well. My mom passed away 8 months ago, and I had a daily program, and I had to face that situation. And I was shattered, but I knew that my viewers needed me to be there anyway. So I kind of survived it. And I look back and I say, was it me? Was I that strong? Did I actually go to the program 2 days later and face the world when I was literally broken down in pieces? So basically, if I had to contribute, I would say, thank you for sharing this, Mariella. It was lovely. You are an inspiration, and you are very beautiful, by the way. And you are. And also that we have to kind of, when we feel it coming, we face it and say, okay, man, another one, and
bring it on
back,
bring it off the dust.
Yeah, exactly. I've had many scratches along the way, but another small thing is that, like you, I also had a very bad accident 2 years ago.
Oh,
I was on fire. I actually caught on fire. I had 3rd-degree burns, and I could have literally died. And that made me realize that life and people who matter in our lives are the most important. Because till then, I never had time to call my friend and tell her, hi, how are you? Because I'm always working. And that made me realize that the few friends, a handful, not many, a handful of them were special enough to give me the time and to share with me. And since then, I started appreciating that as well. Over and out, because I'll take over the whole evening. Thank you. It was lovely.
Thank you. Thank you for joining. That was amazing. I am going to unmute. Oops. I'm bad with this. Mattia.
I'm Marianne. Mattia's my son. I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm confused. I wasn't, but I know you were texting me before, and I want to just get your take on this, because you were quite keen on joining.
Yes, I was, and my life is very similar to yours, Mariella. I fully agree with you in almost everything that you have said. The only thing is that sometimes there are certain situations where family is what stops you from doing what you really want in your life. And family you can't change, and you can't move. So that is the one thing that I need to work on a lot, to try and not hurt anyone. But unfortunately in my life, Stephanie, by the way, I was in Miss Malta with you. I'm Miriam Borch. I don't know if you remember me. I was also in Miss Elegance, long hair. Anyway, long time ago. And for example, my parents had never come to see me in Miss Malta or Miss Elegance, because they were always against everything that I did and that sort of thing. So I always had this battle in myself of trying to be independent at the same time. Then I say that I'm not able to do it. And now,
very valid what you're saying, because these are all the reasons that we give ourselves why not. And it's like when you lack resources, but you need to become a little bit resourceful. And it does. I mean, it does make you burn some bridges, but you need to be true to yourself.
Exactly.
You really need to be true to yourself, because this is like the rocking chair thing I was telling you. You don't want to be on the rocking chair and say, how I wished I would have, said no to my family and did my own way so that I could, grow to the next level. Because bottom line, every one of your family does exactly what they want.
Oh yes.
Rest assured.
Oh yeah.
That you can rest assured.
The problem is I always did what I wanted, but now that I have children, I'm not giving a very good example. I had children at a very late age in my life. I had my youngest when I was 40. So so now it's a bit backfiring on me, so I had to come back to being a bit more obedient and a bit more
disciplined. You have to find the right balance.
Yes, exactly.
Like we said, you have to see what you, and obviously you had children for a reason, because you wanted them.
Of course, definitely.
Out of
yes,
the
of course.
So
of course, I gave up a career because of my children. I used to be a flight attendant, so for 27 years.
So you change your priorities, and even when you do this exercise of where it is you're now and where you're going to go, one of the things you do is, if I look back at when I did this exercise, what it looked like 2 years ago or 5 years ago, it was completely different to where I am today, because life happens and circumstances change, and adapting to circumstances and prioritizing on what it is that we want to do is absolutely essential. So if you had children at a late age, they are your blessings. And there is no point. This is, I would love to do another of these sessions, and we talk about soft skills. And soft skills, one of the more important things is understanding what your priorities are, and adapting to situations, because we are not static. We are not static, and life around us is moving all the time. And the fact that we adapt to whatever is happening will make our life a lot easier. People who are unable to adapt, and it's the same about decision making. There are very different type of decision makers. There are the 80-20 who just make a decision, and 80% of the time they make it right without procrastination, and then they deal with the 20%. And then there are decision makers who make a decision and keep revisiting their decision and deciding whether this was the right decision, the wrong decision, beating yourself up about it. Then there are other people who never make decisions. So this is one of the more important things to evaluate. You make decisions, and then they are, to the best of your knowledge, your very own best decision, and that becomes your priority.
One thing that I would like to share is one of the achievements that I plan to do is to live every day like it's my last day.
That's also very valid. That
is what I really want to try and
try and make for life.
Yes, exactly.
I am the eternal optimist. I am probably, if it was punishable, I would be behind bars. I'm such an optimist.
Me too.
Mylene is laughing because she knows me well. And that is, what has possibly really stimulated me to continue. But we obviously, we all, I mean, the stories I've heard today are, shocking, really. With we all have a story. Bobby's flicking her papers, and she has another massive story, and she's sitting right there on the other table. And I'm sure that if she shares her story, everyone would feel that their story is not so huge anymore, because everyone goes through a story that impacts your life and everyone else's. But the bottom line is adapting to life is, whilst we are surviving, we have to live and make best, as you're saying, our life. And that's the only way we propel forward and grow. And I still believe, notwithstanding the stuff that we go through life, that life is beautiful.
Very, very beautiful.
Bobby, we need to hear you.
I unmute myself, we will echo those.
Okay, so, or maybe you can come sit here for a second and we get yours. We're in the same room, we're in the same space.
Hi everyone, it was such a great pleasure listening to all your testimonies, listening to your presentation, Mariella. Honestly, it brings me to perspective about how many powerful, strong women, determining women there are out there, and everything you said has made so much sense. It's always been inside me. I have this fire inside me. I'm 26 years old, just to give you a brief introduction. I studied Master of Advocacy like Beverly did. I graduated last November, but lo and behold, I don't work as a lawyer because there was always something inside me which told me it's not something you wish to pursue entirely. So something always told me, get the degree, get the qualification. You know, I knew a while back, but get it to satisfy your parents, and that's what I did. In fact,
Sounds like a very similar story to mine.
And I thought it because I had been trying to look for a career during COVID and whatever, and then I just told myself, listen, stop kidding yourself. This is not what you want. You're doing it half-heartedly, and never do something half-heartedly. I always told myself this.
Good on you.
I pushed a lot because my father especially wanted me to just choose anything in law, just choose anything and try it out. But something kept telling me, no,
I cannot.
You're big. I don't know. I felt like I'm made for something bigger or better, or not necessarily there's bigger or better, but not for me. Part of my story is that 4 years ago, I lost my 20-year-old brother. This is what Mariella was touching upon. Very suddenly, and it changed me totally who I am today. It's taught me that we only live once and we should pursue our dreams, literally, from no matter how insignificant other people may think it is. Coincidentally as well, a couple of weeks ago, I lost another family member at 26 years old, cancer, and was diagnosed, revealed on the 26th of June and passed away on the 5th of July. And it kept telling me, you only live once. You can never tell what this life is about to present to you. Never.
Very true.
So never shut down your dreams, never, whatever fire inside you, sort of keep fueling it. And that is a part of the reason why I'm here today.
This is so amazing. All of you girls. Who else is here? I'd like to say hello to here. Beverly, I think I need your help.
Like to switch.
Ask to unmute. Okay. Here we are. I can't see the name, and I don't know if I know.
It's Nadia.
Nadia. Here.
Right.
Hey, Nadia, welcome. Thank you for sharing this space with us. I'm really happy you're here.
Thank you. I'm glad I was invited by Sarah. I wouldn't have missed it for the world.
Oh, that's amazing. That's really good.
So thank you, and thanks Sarah as well. No, just a few thoughts. I find that procrastination is my worst enemy. And at points in your life, sometimes things happen which sort of make you stop and start to think about how you're going to go on from that point onwards. And I think being shut up during COVID was one of these sort of wake-up calls for me, because I've been trying to do something for myself for a very long time. And I must say that in the past year or two, things have started to sort of fall into place. So yes, I think I need to just step back, have a good look at what has happened to date and what's going to happen from now onwards, and start really organizing myself, because I find that I'm very well organized where there's something which is concerning somebody else, but where it's concerning myself, I'm not organized at all. So I think it's about time I start organizing myself. And also, just from a point that Marianne, was it Marianne, mentioned, you sort of sometimes come to terms with your perceptions. For example, I have this perception that people think of me in a particular way. But then when you meet somebody who's sincere and honest, and they actually start telling you to your face what you appear to them as you are, it's sometimes a shock, and a very pleasant shock sometimes. For example, I come across as a person who is very happy-go-lucky, who doesn't care about whatever happens, because I always have a smile on my face. I'm the eternal optimist and the eternal rationalist, and I try to sort of analyze whatever happens and try to take the good out of whatever happens, and try to find a reason for me to learn from whatever happens. And because of this, people think that I am uncaring at times, which is quite hurtful in a way to me. But then I've come to a point in my life where I can say, oh, I don't give a damn what people think about me. I want to do my own thing now. So yes, I think that's why I wanted to follow this workshop, because I wanted to sort of.
If I may just interrupt you for a second, you said something which is really valid. You said, I am absolutely very organized, in my on the workplace. Probably you give a lot of value, but you seem to give the impression that you're not organized about your own
about my stuff.
Yeah.
I organize everything for everybody, and I'm very well organized, where if I'm given a task, or I take it on more often than not. I take on something.
I hope that this at least has given you some food for thought. And if I may suggest, I really didn't think that this was very important, but actually it is. If you start journaling your day, nothing massive, just what have I done and what have I missed out, what would I like to do tomorrow. I mean, little notes. When you go back, you are kind of committing with yourself to put yourself on a roadmap. Otherwise you will literally be like going into a Ferrari and having no destination, and like I said, like no GPS, and you can drive the dust cloud around you, but you will lose sight of your destination. And I really think that having focus on a destination for your own personal growth. And my other take from all these past couple of months that I've been doing several hours of sessions every day is that I have started reading a lot, or actually hearing books, because I hardly have the patience, and plus I need to have my eyes tested. So thank God the ears I don't need tested for the time being. So I can put earphones on. But like I said in the beginning, what it is that you actually put inside your brain really makes you grow. It's like when you're going to a gym, nothing happens if you go 10 hours on one day and you don't go again. But if you go 1 hour for 10 days, you'll start seeing a difference. So
same discipline.
Yeah, but it's actually very small
Sweet.
portions of food to the mind, will give you a huge amount of confidence. I'm seeing Graziella here. I would like to just say hello to and welcome on board. Last but not least, I think I hope I haven't missed anyone. It's been I didn't expect we would have a social get together as well. But somehow, some of us know each other and others know others, and this is it's been quite amazing. I hope you took something good out of this. I know you've been like the biggest champion follower that I've had since I put this group together.
Yes, in fact, every time I meet you, Mariella, I stop, I talk a lot. But whenever I'm with you and I hear you talking, and when you have that moment of tsunami talking, I just shut up and hear you, because your words for me are like magic. I learn a lot. I love learning. I know you since the beginning of my business. You were the first person I did my adverts with. You took my first money for advertising. And yes, I know you for a long time. It was a long journey. Well, what I was following here, and which everyone has in common, is that we all go through difficulties, we all go through success sometimes. By time, I think most of us will say theirs. What I would like to say is that some time ago, when I was with you and we were just talking, and you realized I was in trouble, and you told me, hey, you stop there, we have to meet, me and you. And Mariella was the person who just brought me from my hair like this. She shaked me and made me do what I had to do. So for today, I can only say that I'm 50-year-old. I have a lot of experiences, of adventures, of everything, a bit of everything. So, but thanks to Mariella, who is a really strong person who I admired from the first day I met her. Not only her intellectual, her beauty, she's got everything. And I will never stop.
It was not the point that I am muted you, because I'm going to mute you back now.
I will.
Oops. I did mute her by mistake, sorry. Thank you. Anyway, I think we can round this up. The whole point of this is I hope that you all manage to take something that is valuable and valid, and that I myself, have embarked on this project of basically self-growth, and I think I have, because I have 35 years now experience in developing small businesses, which is what my expertise has become now, and understanding that there is pattern and formula to it. I hope that that is the actually tacit part, the tangible, the tactile part of what I can help people with. Like I think I helped Graziella, but I've realized, more importantly, down the line, that unless you work on your mindset, there is no way you can work on anything else in your life. It's your relationships, your health, your business, your work, your career, your everything. So stay strong mentally. Thank you for showing up. I'm really, really honored that you shared the space.
I'll hug her for you all.
Namaste. And I hope we have the possibility of actually meeting physically again in this, it's, unprecedented times. I never thought I would go through a time like this, as I'm sure none of you ever have.